Okay, well, I just found out that I've been recording without a microphone. So I don't know quite what I'm going to do. I'm not going to take this thing apart, and I'm enjoying an oatmeal cookie that I baked. So I have to go back and see how far back when I went to cook dinner. I think I turned everything off and didn't turn the sound mixer board back on. So, hmm, not quite sure what I'm going to do. So let's get started on the next portion here, which is the servo installation, which is bag 12, step 1. So let me get my bag 12 out. Bag 14, bag 13, bag 12. Got all sorts of little pieces and parts in bag number 12 here. I think I might have to go voice over the parts that I didn't have my microphone turned on. So not feeling good about that, but like I say, always check your bag. We have, looks like servo saver parts here. Some nuts and bolts and screws, a pinion gear, all sorts of stuff. Some of them we are not going to use because we're not installing a motor. Now, I am, just for giggles, going to install a servo. This is not the servo that we are going to be using in the end, but I'm going to go ahead and install it anyway. It is not a good servo. It's just something I had laying around, and I figured since the directions call for building a servo saver and putting one in, we might as well go ahead and do that, and I can replace it later. And put my servo screw back in there. I'm going to see if I can somewhat center this servo. We'll say that right there is probably centered. Okay, so we are going to build a servo saver. Get rid of some of these other parts here. And it looks like we need to first find the proper spline holder. Well, it looks like it only comes with one. So let's see if it is actually the right one, because we may or may not install this servo if we don't have the right splines for this. Oh, look at that, we do. The Futaba servo has the proper splines. So we are going to, of course, I installed that backwards before I even looked. We're going to have to take this back off. And I don't have a regular screwdriver up here, so we'll use that to pry it off. Okay, so to start building the servo saver, we're going to take a deep dive here, get into it. Actually, we will use this view here. Okay, so we're going to hold the servo in the position that we see it here. And if you take a look on the back half of the servo saver, you're going to see that there's a little nub on here, and there's a nub here. We're going to put that center up, supposedly. We can get it on there. It's starting to get real late here, and I've been building for a good portion of the day, and I'm getting a little bit numb. Okay, so now we have 3 different, I don't even know what these are called. We're going to call them compression rings, torque rings. I'm not quite sure. But we need to fit 3 of them. So we're going to take each one of these and start with the smallest. Let's see if we can do this. And we need to make it so that it goes over this little nub captures it. And I think I might need a screwdriver to do this. Yeah, it's not wanting to cooperate with me. That is strong. I'm busting up my fingernails trying to get that on. What we're trying to do is open up the little C-ring here so that it fits over the little nub that is on the servo saver. And I think if I had a screwdriver, it would probably work real easily. Let's see if we can do it. There we go. Oh, that worked. Okay. So you can see how we have that over that little nub. Again, the lighting is not quite right, but we'll see how that works. Now we're going to take the next one in size. Whoops. I'm going to put the smallest one in there. Then we're going to put the bigger one over the top so that we have 3 of these rings. And that just came off of the nub. So we're going to have to start over again. I have a feeling that this is not going to be easy. I'll take this back apart. From what I gather, most people are going with just a solid servo horn on these and not using a servo saver. And I think that that is actually probably the way to go. But we will see what we can do here. Once more, we're going to give this one more shot to see if we can get it going. Yeah, I'm going to have to get a screwdriver. Boy, isn't this a pain in the ass? You can hear Mrs. FastEddy in the background there, speaking Mandarin to her mother. And when she talks to her mother, she yells. I always think that they're fighting, but they're not. They are just how they converse. Oh, damn, it came off again. Frustrating. You know what? We are not going to put a servo in this. We are going to wait, and we are going to put in a solid servo horn when we build it. So let's go ahead and dish this, I should say, and put it away because we're not going to use it. We'll put it up with our spare parts. And what we are going to do is, so that we don't lose them, we are going to mount the servo mounts onto the rig here. And those are going to go right here in these 2 little holes, because the servo itself is going to sit right down in here. And that's where it's going to sit. So we are going to put the servo mounts in. And they go in with a single screw. They're going to be placed in just like that. The 2 screw holes here for the flat part are going to face, they are going to face forward, I believe. Yes, they are going to face forward. And we're going to use the 2 M3x8 flathead screws. Let's put some of these tools away here. M3x2 flatheads. And there are only 2 flatheads in our little bucket here. So we're going to grab those and put on our servo holders. And the easiest way to do that, I have found over the years, is to go ahead and put the screw in, then hold the servo saver up. And screw it in. We'll put that in just so that we know where they are and we don't lose them. Put the second one in. You can hear Mrs. FastEddy talking to her mom again. Okay, so servo holders are now in. You can see them right here. Later on, when we mount the servo, we'll take those back out and we'll screw the servo in on that so it holds it properly. We're going to get the proper servo, and we're also going to use just a solid servo horn rather than a servo saver. The servo saver, if you hit something, allows this some give so it doesn't hurt your servo. If you're using a less expensive servo, they're really good to have. If you have a good, really good high torque servo, they're going to be, with metal gears, it's going to be able to withstand generally anything that you're going to hit. Something else is going to break before that servo does. So we don't really need a servo saver. All right, so moving on to the next part here. Normally we would put the motor in, and all the motor screws are supplied in here along with the pinion gear. And the pinion gear is, I'm going to say recommended most likely for what they're going to call a stock motor. And that's going to be your entry level or your slowest class of drag racing. So those are included in there. You're going to probably want to get different sizes so that you can tune your motor properly. Okay, so now we're going to put the motor cover on. And there's a little rubber nipple nub here, which slides over the top, and that is used so that you can adjust your slipper by taking this off, and it's going to expose the nut for your slipper. You can see it there. But in the meanwhile, we'll go ahead and put that on there, and that keeps any debris out. So the screws for this, we're going to use 2 M3x5 button head screws. We're going to put one screw into this hole and one screw into this hole here. So M3 buttons are going to be, look over at our little chart here, M3x5. So those are these little shorties that are in there, the shortest ones. We will double check that, M3x5. We're going to put it on the little chart over here, button head, M3x5. There we go, and those are still 2 millimeter. So we're going to go ahead and put those on. Now, I think for now that's going to take care of this bag. Oh! Yeah, we caught it. Didn't drop on the floor. That's a first. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get that one on there. Now we got our motor cover on, you can see. And again, the little plastic unit there is to adjust the slipper clutch. Again, one of the upgrades I think people make in here is to remove that slipper clutch and just put a solid setup in there. so that there is no slippage and you can actually tune your power through your ESC rather than using a slipper. But this is the stock rig, so that's what we're going to do. Now we are going to, let's see here. Bag number 13, which is the next bag, is going to be Nerf bars and receiver and battery. So we have all of these parts here that go for the motor mounting and for the servo and yada yada. So we are going to place those on our bench out of the way so that we don't lose them and we can make room for our next bag of garbage. So we are on now bag 13. We're getting real close to being done here. We're going to do bag 13. Yeah, there we go. Or we can do it this way. Which camera do we want? I'm still upset that we lost audio for I'm not sure how many episodes, which I'm going to have to make into a bad Chinese movie and do voiceover on. But hey, always make sure your bag is empty. Nothing left in there. So let's take a look here, and we are going to want to open up our little metal pieces and parts bag. Find my X-Acto knife. And put that stuff in there. There we go. Again, check your bag. I'm not going to stop saying that. And we are going to... There is a receiver box grommet, which actually will show you what that does. It makes your receiver watertight. And what it does is you put it over the wires where they go through your receiver box, and it will pinch those and allow it to go through the receiver box and not allow water in there. One of the things, again, that I gather is most people don't use that receiver box, but we're going to. So, to put the receiver box in, we are going to need what screws? We're going to look here, and we need M3 by 10 button heads. So, this is the receiver box, and it looks like it is going to fit right in here, just like so. Fits right in there. You can see it captures on these three holes here. 1, 2, 3. Actually, no, just 2. 1 and 2. Okay, so we are going to need, again, I looked at that earlier, starting to get slap happy here. We need M3 by 10. It's actually only showing 1 going in to there. So an M3 by 10 button, which I think is going to be this one here. We'll check it. M3 by 10. Yes. Okay. We are going to put that in this hole here. Which is this screw hole here. And I believe the other ones are held on with the receiver box lid. So that grommet we were talking about is going to fit into this little hole here. There's a slot in the side. And what I am going to do is take a little bit of this grease, just put a little dab on there. And that is going to help it slide down. Rub a little bit on there. That's going to help that slide down into place. And when we put our electronics in, if we decide to use the radio box, we will have that little grommet in there. Again, it's lighting in here. I'm going to have to figure out the lighting a little better. So at this point, we are going to take the gasket. And it is the shape of the box here. So we're going to go ahead and lay that gasket down into the little groove that goes around the receiver box. I'm going to make sure it fits down in the grooves all the way around. There we go. And let's see now. We're going to put the receiver box lid on there. And according to the directions, we are going to use 2 more M3. No. Yes. M3 by 10s. So we're going to grab 2 M3 by 10s. We're going to measure them here. Make sure that's actually what we're grabbing, which it is. And we're going to insert these 2 screws. Into the 2 remaining receiver screw holes. Just like that. Okay, that's how the receiver box goes. Now, there is an antenna tube, which you're going to insert down in here. Antenna tubes, nowadays with the radios that we're using, generally not going to use an antenna tube. But we're going to put one in by example here because it's here and we're building it by the book. Now, there is a teeny tiny little set screw, which if I can find the end, it's getting late. If I can find the end of my driver, is going to go on there. And it goes in right in the hole and back of the antenna tube. And you're going to screw that in, and what it does is it just retains the antenna tube. That's all it does. Okay? Now, because it's going to get in the way and I don't want to poke myself in the eye, I'm going to take that out. I'm going to leave the little screw in there so it doesn't get lost, but I'm going to remove the antenna tube so I don't poke myself in the eye with it, and it's also something I am not going to use. So we'll set it aside. Now, the next is Nerf bars. If you don't know what a Nerf bar is for, it absorbs side impact. So these are going to slide. Let's see, there is a right way to put these on, and that is with these up. And they seem to be the same size all the way around, so it doesn't matter which side you put it on, but you do want this ridge here to go up in the air. So we're going to slide this over these 2 little nubs and press it into place. Do the same on the other side as long as we're doing that. And there are 4 remaining screws. Look at that. And we are going to, now there's also an antenna cap, tube cap there that goes over the top. Your antenna will come out and fold over, and you'll place that over it so that it holds it and doesn't slide through. I haven't seen those in years and years and years, ever since analog radios rather than the digital radios. I'm going to put these 2 screws back in. And there's 1, 2 more for the other side. Here, we'll get into camera porn position. That way you can see what's going on. There we go. We now have Nerf bars installed. Yay. That, my friends, is that. Now, these are battery straps. When you put your battery in, you're going to use this piece of foam, and that's going to help, depending on the weight of your battery and your electronics and everything. You're going to put your battery in here where it best fits for the weight, and you're going to weigh it out, and it's part of tuning. But this is either going to go forward or back, or a lot of different times, if you want to get more accurate, you can cut it into another piece and maybe put one piece in the forward and one in the rear to hold your battery into place. So these are battery straps, and they basically go in just like that. So you want to make sure that you actually put them in the right way and don't put them in upside down. So I'm going to go ahead and act like I'm using it. Take it back apart, watching how I hold it. And I'm going to slide this down through. Little slots in the chassis. And then that way, when we put our battery in, it's held down. And again, we don't want to put these in backwards, because if you put them in backwards, they don't stick together. So you're going to want to make sure that you get them in the right direction. So I just act like I'm using it, and then take it apart and slide it in. Now you can, if you're going forward with the batteries, you can use these two. If you're going rear with the battery, you can use these two. If you're going in the middle with the battery, then that's up to you. But you're generally going to choose forward or back. I'm going to put this in here just so it doesn't get lost. I'm going to go ahead and cinch this down. And it's going to hold that in there so it doesn't get lost. Those are the battery straps. All right. That is that. And we're getting closer. We are getting much closer to being done. It's getting really late. I'm getting punch happy. And I'm still mad that I recorded episodes without vocal. I guess I should learn to watch my mic meter and make sure that I turn my mixer board on before I start recording. Okay, so if you like what we're doing, somewhere is a subscribe button, because we're going to be doing a lot more builds. We're also going to be doing tips and tricks, all sorts of fun stuff about bearings, stuff about stuff. So subscribe. Links below show all the stuff that we're building. If you decide that you want to go ahead. What is this little piece? Little rubber piece in there. It must be a piece off of the flashing from... Oh, here we go. No, you know what? That goes in there. This is a little teeny little rubber piece that actually goes in the top. Look at that. I thought we were done. We're not. Let's take this apart. If we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. I'm going to take the cover back off. There is this little teeny tiny piece of rubber, and it is shown in the directions here. You can take a look. And that goes in the top of this little piece here, in case you don't have a wire going through there. And it just helps seal it off. So, yay. Little details. We're going to go ahead and put that back in. Make sure that our gasket is in the grooves. It's popping out here around this little corner. There we go. Now it's in there. We'll put it back together. All right. Now, if you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button. And we have just one or two more steps, and we're going to be done with this build. I am going to do further builds on this as far as installing electronics and wheels and tires, body, all the fun stuff that we need to make this run so that we can actually go out and participate in some local drag racing. Not that I'm competitive in it, but it sure does look fun. And we're going to probably run stock class. I'm not sure. So subscribe. We got 1 or 2 more episodes. Thanks for watching. Figure out which button turns this thing off.